Welcome back to the channel. Hello. Thank you for coming back. What happens to money when the queen dies? Okay, I mean, obviously this is quite topical at the moment. I mean, I don't know. We've still got Abraham on our pennies, so, but it's interesting because the queen is like everywhere in the world. All over, all sorts of money. So, this really caught my eye. I'm curious. Let's find out.
Queen Elizabeth II has sat on the throne for over 67 years, making her the longest reigning monarch in British history.
Legendary.
But without seeming morbid or insensitive, at 93 years old, the logistical concerns of what exactly will happen when her reign ends are already being prepared for. There are many plans and procedures in place, and some excellent YouTube videos detailing these, but none have really examined what will happen to our money. Will our banknotes still be legal tender?
It's so cool seeing her on the bills. Like, I don't know. She looks so good. Is that weird? I don't know. And it's such like a high quality photo.
Really examined what
Here in America, the photos are not that detailed.
Will happen to our money?
On the money.
Will our banknotes still be legal tender? And if so, for how long? And will Prince Charles start?
Of course, there'll still be legal tender. Hey, you know. She passed away, so your money's no good here.
Appearing on them. And when can we realistically expect this to happen? In this video, I'm going to make
I wonder how you guys feel about that.
Educated guess by looking at previous examples from both here in the UK and other countries around the world. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. Let's start with the coins. To begin with, coins with the Queen on them will continue to be issued for the remainder of the year she dies, but all new coins from the following year onwards will feature Prince Charles, or rather King Charles.
Just like that, okay. Boom. Charles is in on the coins, okay. They move quick.
Although Buckingham Palace doesn't comment on matters of the accession, it's widely believed that Prince Charles has already sat for these portraits, and likely updates them in preparation every few years. And on these new coins, he will face to the left, the opposite direction to the Queen. There's an interesting tradition that the direction the monarch faces must change with each new successor.
That's so cool. I like that.
As for the existing 30 billion coins with the Queen on them, they'll likely
30 billion.
Continue to be used for potentially many decades. We can look to the Queen's own.
I mean, they're going to be worth... Those are going to be some legendary coins, you know? They're going to be collectibles. I say hold on to your... pence? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Accession to the throne as an indicator. When her father, King George VI, died, coins bearing his image stayed in circulation for almost 20 years. In fact, you could even find coins dating all the way back to Queen Victoria, which were now almost 100 years old and understandably very worn down. The only reason all the coins were then removed was because of decimalisation in 1971, when coins such as a sixpence and shilling were swapped for the
Hey, I got the pence correct. Okay,
decimalisation in 1971, when coins
I just wasn't sure. I wasn't like 1,000% sure that was the correct currency.
Such as a sixpence and shilling were swapped for the pounds and pence we use today. So the Queen's coins would circulate alongside Prince Charles's indefinitely, until some kind of seismic change in our currency occurred. This would probably be the same in other countries whose coins also feature the Queen, such as Canada and New Zealand.
That'd be kind of a sad day if they were no longer in, you know, whatever he said.
But
in circulation.
Australia might very well take a different approach. There's been...
Okay, does Canada really have coins that are shaped like that? Like a little flag and a leaf? That is so cool.
There's Canada and New Zealand, but Australia...
Or are those are just pins? Because the middle, yeah, never mind.
Might very well take a different approach. There's been growing calls for Australia to become a republic in recent years. And whilst Australians are generally very fond of the Queen, the same can't be said for the monarchy as a whole. Many politicians, including former Prime Minister Julia Gillard, have said that they believe it would be an appropriate time for Australia to finally become a republic when the Queen's reign ends. So the Queen and future monarchs might just
So is that a conversation going on right now, I guess? From Miss Julia, is she like, okay, it's over?
Become a republic when the Queen's reign ends. So the Queen and future monarchs might just altogether disappear from the dollar-doo. The matter of what will happen to banknotes, however, is a
I really want to know what you guys think about that.
little more open to debate. Like the coins, the banknotes issued for the remainder of the year will still feature the Queen, replaced by Prince Charles at the beginning of the next. But from there, I personally speculate there will be 3 likely scenarios. First up, a straight swap of portraits. Normally our banknotes are updated approximately every 15 years. The old paper £5 note, for instance, was released in 2002, and then today's polymer note 14 years later in 2016. It's therefore assumed that they'll be redesigned once again around the year 2030, give or take a few years.
Okay, we got a while.
So if the Queen was to die soon, they might just keep the same notes but replace her portrait with Charles's, and let the two circulate simultaneously, as with the coins. So
That sounds reasonable. That'll be super interesting, I feel like, for you guys the day, because she's been the monarch for so long. To the day you get that first note with Charles' photo on it.
that's one option. But if the Queen were to die in 10 years or so, or much closer to 2030, we might simply jumpstart the redesign process early.
Happen.
There would be little point in going through the cost, time and effort of creating the same banknotes but with Prince Charles, only to fully redesign and replace them shortly afterwards. The third option is what I think is probably the most likely, and I'd like to thank my subscriber Pira for kindly sending me these notes. There are a lot of similarities between the Queen's reign and that of Thailand's King Bhumibol Adulyadej, who died in October 2006.
That's the coolest name ever.
Queen's reign and that of Thailand's King Bhumibol Adulyadej,
Boomadolly Dooley Day.
who died in October 2016 after over 70 years on the throne. The country entered a year of mourning, and 6 months after that year ended, banknotes featuring the new king were issued. These notes aren't by any means identical to the old, but they aren't quite an all-out redesign either. They're the same size and colour, but now featured the new king, and the country took the opportunity to make some additional updates and changes too.
Yeah, they look a lot different.
The new 1000 baht note in particular is a really lovely banknote, featuring the previous and current kings together, father and son.
Oh, cool.
But I don't think the changes are quite drastic enough to constitute calling it an entirely new banknote. So I think this is the most likely scenario in the UK. We'll get a slightly refined sort of handover note featuring Prince Charles that's not identical to the existing notes, but isn't exactly worlds apart either.
Well, we're going to find out real soon.
And the
Or is this already... This starts next year?
changes that are made will be enough to push back an entire redesign by maybe 10 or 15 years. In Australia, however, as we saw with the coins, the Queen could potentially disappear from the $5 bill too, and perhaps even from the Canadian $20 bill. Last year, Canada began releasing a new series of vertical banknotes, starting with the $10. This note is a
That's so cool. Vertical note.
radical redesign, replacing the country's first Prime Minister John A. Macdonald with civil rights activist Viola Desmond after almost half a century on the note. And the country are releasing the rest of the notes incredibly slowly, at 3 to 5 year intervals.
These notes are way cooler than America's.
It's very possible then that the Queen's reign could have ended by the time they release the new $20 bill, and if they continue breaking tradition, as I suspect they may, the British monarch could forever disappear from Canada's banknotes too. Once again, this is all speculation, mere educated guesswork,
Well, we're going to find out.
and no
real
one
soon.
knows for certain. Our president is 67 years out of date, and models from other countries and cultures aren't necessarily a perfect fit when applied elsewhere. But when the Queen's reign eventually ends, as sad as it will be, we'll see a whole host of changes to our currencies, even if we're not yet sure precisely what form that will take.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, new Euro design. Am I even like doing this right? With Charles. What? Google, come on. Am I like this stupid? Am I just saying this completely wrong? Or is this... What the hell? These are chairs. Euro. Euro. Queen Elizabeth. Guys, this is, here we go. NPR. I mean, it just says will, so I guess it's still, they're still figuring it out, I suppose. I mean, this was 2 weeks ago. Okay, that didn't help. I don't think there's any like new design out yet, which is all I was really trying to figure out. Thank you for watching. That was super interesting. Thank you to this channel, Half Asleep Chris. Subscribe for more UK reactions. I mean, I do them every weekday. If you're into that, this is your channel. I'm just saying. Or either way, just thanks for watching with me, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope to see you tomorrow. I'll be here. Goodbye.